Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me on Their Fight Story. This is Igdalia, and we have with us Phil LoCigno. LoCigno.
LoCigno.
Lucino, none of the above.
No, none of the above. Yeah, the G is
Sorry.
silent.
Oh, is it?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay. My bad. I apologize for that.
No, I've been getting that my whole life, and that's kind of why I chose the nickname Bambino because it just goes together. Bambino LoCigno instead of Bambino LoCigno. So yeah, I'm used to it. It's no big
Sorry.
deal.
Awesome. How did you get into martial arts?
Well, it's a funny story actually. I grew up as a football player my whole life from the age of first grade up until high school, and then I was getting ready for college ball. I got recruited at Mount Ida. And because my grades weren't so good, I had to go to Bunker Hill to try to bump it up and then transfer over to second semester. With that being said, while I was at Bunker Hill taking classes, I was playing for BU's club team, or at least training camp, getting ready for them. And then it all came to an end. I blew my knee out. That was in 2013, 2012. And then, yeah, it was over from there. And then after football, I started boxing just to test myself, see where I could go with it. And unfortunately, I was in and out of the gym off and on, just a lot of struggling outside affairs that just kept me from my destiny, which right now is MMA. I started this about 2 years ago from exactly this month when the pandemic first hit. I just picked it up, and then I absolutely fell in love with it because every discipline, you're just constantly learning something new. And with my athletic background, I just picked up on it just very easily.
So what motivated you to actually go into it?
I just always had like a dream. Like my original dream was to obviously be in the NFL because every football player dreams of that when they first started playing. But in the back of my mind, I always, would have loved to have been a, world champion boxing because my father's side of the family, they were all old school boxers. And of course, because we're Italian, we love people like Rocky Marciano, Boom Boom Mancini, Rocky Graziano, Jake LaMotta. So I looked up to those fighters before boxing in general. And then obviously got into the sport of boxing. Now, kickboxing, MMA, wrestling, just every different martial art now I'm a fan of. But it all started with just that.
And how does your dad feel about you being an MMA fighter versus a boxer?
He loves it because he's old school. So whatever combat sport it is, he just looks at it as like a gladiator. And he's very prideful, which I get that same attitude from, especially when I'm caught in a rear naked choke for my first two fights and just refuse to give up. So I get that from him, the stubbornness. But yeah, he loves it. He loves bragging about me. He loves just being a fan of it.
Has he been to your fights?
Yeah, he's at both of them. He's been one of my biggest supporters, him and my mother.
Oh,
Without them, this would have not have been possible, to be honest, because they blessed me with a good life growing up. And hopefully I can give back to them one day, taking this to the highest level possible.
That's awesome. Now, when we were talking in the beginning, you had mentioned that, MMA changed your life.
Yes, absolutely.
How did it change your
100%.
life?
Well, just honestly, just my diet in general. That's just the basic. Because before it was like, obviously I wasn't fat, but I was living a very unhealthy life. Just I hate to say it, but like a typical construction worker, smoking cigarettes, eating off food trucks, just eating, just shit basically. And then I never knew how that would affect my mind. And then once that process started, just everything started falling into play. I started taking care of my body, taking care of my mind, my mental health, because I had severe depression and anxiety. And I feel like this was the main cure for it. I didn't need any pills or anything like that. I just needed an outlet to let all of this negative emotion and energy just onto something, and make a benefit out of me, make me a better human being from it. So I love this sport. And one day, hopefully, when it's all said and done with my career, I can give back some way, shape, or form.
How are you able to, I guess, proceed with your fight career as an amateur? Because amateurs don't get paid. So how do you find that balance between your passion and
My
your personal
pension?
life? Yeah.
So you're saying passion versus pension? Well, like I said before, I grew up in a very good environment where I'm able to chase the passion over the pension. Obviously, I still need money to survive and live and just go to the gym. But I've saved a good amount, and I'm willing to go all the way with this because I feel like if you don't, then what's the point?
Mhm.
Because you're only going to get hurt.
And you've already been hurt before.
More emotionally than physically, in my opinion. I mean, every time I got it, like the last one, yeah, I was exhausted because I tried a new little game plan with wrestling, and yeah, I definitely enjoyed that. But as far as like physically hurt, no, absolutely not.
Mhm. Where do you want to go with your career?
I want to go to the highest pinnacle possible because I'm giving my soul into this,
Mhm.
and I want to see just how far it is. And I can just give you the cliche answer: I want to be in the UFC one day, but just being a professional fighter, like that's a dream in itself. Or even just right now, I'm living the dream,
Mhm.
because even just as an 0-2 fighter, I'm getting an interview. I got people screaming Bambino in the stands and have a fan base, so yeah, just that itself is just a dream. Being able to make that walk down the cage for Cage Titans, that's a dream in itself too. So I'm already living the dream. But I definitely, to answer your question, I want to take it as far as possible.
From these last two fights, you've been training hard, you've been doing what you need to do, you know, to do your walk, to get in the cage. What have you learned from these two fights?
I definitely learned that I probably got the biggest heart in that Cage Titans family. In my opinion, not to sound biased, but
Mhm.
I guess every fighter was going to say that about them. But yeah, I definitely learned what I'm made of, what I'm able to endure, and just the basic question: do I belong in there? And it's just
Yeah.
absolutely, because both of those fights could have went either way.
Yeah.
I could easily just be 2-0, 0-2 right now. So right now, just as an amateur, I'm just gaining just experience for when I do hit the professionals. Now I've seen every look and I know how to respond to it.
Mhm. Why Cage Titans?
Uh, I don't know. It kind of just happened, you know, from just my gym in general. I guess they have a good relationship that has been going on for a long time, and I look to continue that good relationship because they've been home to a lot of good fighters, UFC potentials, and people that are already in the UFC
Mhm.
or right now as my one of my good training partners and good friends. Jay Perrin just got signed to the UFC,
Mhm.
so yeah, it's a good promotion, and it's not too far from me, so that also works.
An added bonus.
Yeah, I guess.
Where are you currently training?
I'm training in Somerville, and I live in East Boston, so it's not far at all. It's like a 20-minute drive, if that.
So you're at Cedioton?
Yes.
Okay.
And for grappling, which is down the street, the other Rotary in Everett, which is Brazilian Top Team Boston.
Okay. Okay. When you mentioned your friends and your trainers and your teammates that have gone to made it to the USC, they've signed. What have you seen from them that is helping you in your journey?
Just the hot in general, just the daily grind to keep getting after it over and over and over again, just the constant repetition and still having the passion. And, that motivates me because I'm going through the same thing, and I've seen how high it could go if you give that effort, if you put that extra work in, and just never give up. I've seen what it could do, so I'm following the blueprint of those guys, and I'm forever grateful for them.
Because it's a lot. A lot of people. They see an obstacle and they give up. And
Yeah,
there's
it's because of
some.
society in general. I feel like kind of just pampered for it, so it's hard to break that, especially you know what's going on right now with the pandemic. We don't know if we're still in it or not. What's going on? No one knows anymore. So I feel like it's a little bit of that as well. But I definitely agree with you, though.
Yeah, and it's just like added stress that people have to like really figure out, is this really what I want to do? Is this really, something that I want? Because we don't really know what's going to happen, in society. We don't know what's going to happen. And you're doing this career that you're turning into an MMA fighter during a time that nobody really even knows what's going to happen. Are we going to shut down again? Are we not going to shut down? Are they going to change the rules? Can people be around? Can they not be around? So on top of you training and doing all that stuff, you have to deal with this added mental struggle that we all have to endure. How are you able to find that balance to kind of just like kind of like roll with it?
To be honest with you, the pandemic made it easier to focus on training. Once it hit and I had nothing to do, I literally made my parents' backyard into like a little like Muay Thai jungle gym. I just set up a bag and I was kicking it every day. And I had a punching bag saying I was hitting that every day with the double end all summer long. And yeah, but it was difficult at some moments, you know, when we couldn't go to the gym, but get the proper training. But I feel like once the pandemic hit, it really brought out the hustler in me because I had nothing else to do. Because before I was worried about, you know, hanging out with the buddies or
Yeah.
girls or having a good time. And once the pandemic hit, I was like, nah, that's no more. And I was like, all right, I might as well follow my destiny now and just become a professional fighter. So it's
So
one day though.
you're on the right path, and that's really what matters,
Absolutely.
is being on the right path, having the right mindset, keeping those people that really want to support you there, because this is the time where you know who's who, or at least
100%. Exactly. I get more support from people I've never met through Instagram, you know, in my DM saying, Bambino, we love you, than my own people that I grew up with, or even some family members, unfortunately. But
yeah,
that's also why I love martial arts. Just brings such a different, diverse group of people together, and we can all join, you know, on a common bond and support each other for just growth in general.
yeah, and that's important. We have to find a way to grow and support each other and not attack each other. I mean, I get it. Like when you go into the cage and you fight, your
Yeah, it's a
opponents,
competition.
yeah, it's you guys doing your job. That's your job when the doors close. That's your job. And
Yeah.
then once you get out, you go back to your normal. Hey,
Yeah, there's a picture of me and Danny Warburg in the third round because we know we just went to war together, and you could see us like both laughing, even though like you know we're both hurting a little bit and fucking tired. But yeah, that's why I love it too, because it's nothing personal with any fighter. I mean, I know you're trying to inflict damage on me, and it's vice versa. But at the end of the day, it's a competition of who is the better martial artist.
yeah. And it's not a lot of people confuse the going in there and seeing who's the best at this sport versus who's the best person. You know what I mean? And it's not a personal attack on each other. It's this is the sport, this is your talent, this is your vision, this is your passion, and this will determine where you're going to go. Are you going to continue your path? Is it a one
Especially at
time
the
shot?
amateur ranks.
Yeah. And at amateur level, you have to get as much training. You have to get as much, you know, obviously in a wise way. You have to find the fights that you're going to do. Like you're not going to take 20 fights back to back and then expect everything's going to be perfectly fine. It's not, because your body needs to heal.
Of
You
course.
need to, go in there and test yourself. But just because you've had 3 fights and you've won doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to just go pro.
True.
You
But
know?
I figured for me personally, it's just that's my goal, and you know,
Oh
it's
yeah, we want
step
you
by
guys
step.
to go pro. We want you to do it in a smart way.
Oh, of course.
We want everybody to do it in a smart way, because if we don't, then you're gonna hinder your pro career. Because in your amateur career is when you test everything. Let me fight the best boxer in MMA. Who has the best striking? Who has the best ground technique? Who has the best Muay Thai technique? You want to find who's the best in everything and make sure that you are where you need to be. So when you go pro, you're not going to be surprised with what happens next.
I could
Because
not agree
sometimes
anymore.
if
100%.
everybody wants to be the best ground person, okay, but there are different levels to this. Does it mean, you know what I mean? And that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that we're well rounded. So when we go pro, not we, because I'm not going pro. When you guys
Yeah.
go pro, you guys aren't setting yourself up. You guys
Oh
want
yeah,
to
because
test yourself.
it's a very unforgiving road.
It is. It is.
But to be honest with you, I'm willing to deal with the consequences just because I know what I'm getting out of it at the end of
Mhm.
the day.
Exactly. And we also have to understand. Well, we have a few comments here. We have Thomas Rodriguez, which is he's a well-known fighter. He just got into the Hall of Fame. And he commented, well put. He said it best. We as fighters become brothers to the end.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
You know, and I'm glad that, he joined us, because I know he's going through a really difficult time right now. He just lost a really good friend of his. And
I'm sorry to hear that for your loss, Thomas.
yeah, it's very difficult. It's so thank you for the support, Thomas, and supporting other fighters, because he supports every fighter, everybody that I interview. He's there to support them, and that it means a lot, because this is a community, this is a family. And
Yeah, that's another reason why I love MMA. Just the community in general, like the after parties and everyone just shooting the shit, having a good time, even though we just beat the shit out of each other. But it's awesome. I love it. I love it.
yeah, this is another great person that I've met through the podcast and the streams, is Brian Storm. And he just commented that you're a pro, Igdalia. I'm getting there. Not exactly, not in the cage. I'm getting better. But see, this is it. Like, we find people that are in our same, field, and we grow. Like, every time you get in that cage, you're growing with your opponent. And every time you leave the cage, whether you win or lose, you're
You definitely learned something.
exactly. And that's what's important. That when you walk out of that cage, because I'm not walking, you know what I mean? That's
It's all right. I'll let you go.
Thank you. It's a learning experience. It's a learning, and it helps us mentally, because everybody who walks in there is walking in there for a reason. They're fighting for a reason. Whether if it's for a family member or if it's for a friend, we're all in there for a reason. And nobody really knows what we're dealing with outside of the cage. You guys are doing your fight camp
Yeah,
while
have a
you're
9 to 5 job and have families and bills and all the other stuff.
yeah. And then on top of that, if you don't make weight, people are on you. You didn't make weight. You didn't do this. And it's understandable. We understand that people are going to be upset that you didn't make weight. But you guys are also, dealing with that part of it. Like, you're personally dealing with the fact that you didn't make weight.
Who, me?
Not you. No. Like,
I'm gonna say I was
a
underweight both
fighter.
times.
No, like, a fighter has to deal with that.
Yeah, that's another fight in itself, especially if you haven't been doing it right, because it will show.
Mm-hmm. It is. And it's just a lot. It's not just walking in there saying, I'm going to take a fight, sign a contract, and that's it. There's a lot more that you
There's
as a fighter.
Sacrifice.
Yeah. It's for the new fighters, somebody who wants to become an amateur fighter and take their first MMA fight. What would you tell them?
I would say be prepared. Be very prepared and listen to your coaches. And just be you. Do what is natural for you, because everyone has a certain skill level that they naturally gravitate towards. Some people like to use the hands, the feet, and obviously your coach will know that better than I would, or just anybody else. But yeah, I would just say be prepared, and yeah, that's all I really have.
Now, be prepared physically, mentally, emotionally.
Every way, mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally. Because you're going to hit an adrenaline rush for those 9 minutes, and you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. And me personally, I love it. That was the best drug in the world. Just forgetting all my problems, just everything. I hate to point out like this, but being on the verge of the feeling of death and surviving, getting out of it and overcoming that. And it's just, there's no better feeling like that. Almost for me, it feels like a movie every time. I'm in a movie for 9 minutes. Because everything just goes by. I don't even remember half the stuff that went on after, just from all the built up emotions and energy. It's no other feeling like it.
If you could change anything from your fights, what would you have changed? Now that you've experienced it and you're seeing it, you've been able to see your fights and look back at it. What would you have changed?
Probably at least one of those judges in both fights, at least looking at my way, because those are both very close. But on a serious note, I don't know. It's a hard question to answer, because I'm still learning, So it's still very new. But I mean, as far as what I know I can give a hit. I know I can take a hit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you actually know how to accept the decision that was made.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's amateurs. So right now, it's just experience
Mhm.
and just testing myself. And then when it is time to go pro, now I know how to deal with the wrestler, the kickboxer, the guy who's longer, shorter, all those different variables. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's just all experience, and it's not going to define me because my performance in general that will define me.
My printer just scared the crap out of me. It just went
I
off,
was
and I was
wondering
like,
what that was like. I thought
I
it
was
was
like,
me.
I'm like, I didn't hit anything to print. What just happened? When can we see you back again in the cage?
Uh, Hopefully April around that time. That's the word that I got, but nothing's definite. But right now, I'm just focusing on training and just getting better as a martial artist. And when I get the call, I'll definitely be ready.
That's awesome. Do you have any advice that you would like to share with, like I said, upcoming fighters?
My advice would be enjoy the process. Enjoy the good days just as much as, actually, enjoy the bad days as much as the good days. And everything's going to work out in the end as long as you just keep going. Just keep going. That's it. That's my advice. Just keep going. Unless you don't have a passion for it and you're not enjoying it, then obviously just stop. But if you have a passion and you hit that self-doubt or that roadblock, but before you go to bed every night and you think about it and you're like, oh, I want to do this so bad, but it's
Mhm.
so hard, just keep going. Just keep going.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Phil. I really appreciate your time.
I appreciate you too. And I will definitely see you at the next one.
Yes, you will. Thank you so much.
Thank you.